exposed to mockery and jeers. In the year the field commander sent by King Sargon of Assyria came to Ashdod and fought and took it, God told Isaiah, son of Amos, go, take off your clothes and sandals. And Isaiah did it, going about naked and barefooted. Then God said, just as my servant Isaiah has walked around town naked and barefooted for 3 years as a warning sign to Egypt and Ethiopia, so the king of Assyria is going to come and take the Egyptians as captives and the Ethiopians as exiles. He'll take young and old alike and march them out there naked and barefooted, exposed to mockery and jeers. The bared buttocks of Egypt on parade. Everyone who has put hope in Ethiopia and expected help from Egypt will be thrown into confusion. Everyone who lives along this coast will say, look at them, naked and barefooted, shuffling off to exile. We thought they were our best hope, that they'd rescue us from the king of Assyria. Now what's going to happen to us? How are we going to get out of this? Isaiah 21, the betrayer betrayed. A message concerning the desert at the sea. As tempests drive through the Negev desert, coming out of the desert, that terror-filled place, a hard vision is given me. The betrayer betrayed, the plunderer plundered. Attack Elam, lay siege, Media. Persians attack Babylon. I'll put an end to all the moaning and groaning because of this news. I'm double up in pain, writhing in pain like a woman having a baby, baffled by what I hear, undone by what I see, absolutely stunned, horror-stricken. I'd hoped for a relaxed evening, but it's turned into a nightmare. The banquet is spread, the guests reclining in luxurious ease, eating and drinking, having a good time. And then the armed princes, the fight is on. The master told me, go post a lookout, have him report what he spots when he sees horses and wagons in battle formation. Lines of donkeys and columns of camels. Tell him to keep his ear to the ground. Note every whisper, every rumor. Just then the lookout shouted, I'm at my post, master, sticking to my post day after day. And all through the night I watched them come, the horses and wagons in battle formation. I heard them call out the war news and headlines. Babylon fallen, fallen, and all its precious God idols smashed to pieces on the ground. Dear Israel, you've been through a lot. You've been put through the mill. The good news I get from God of the angel armies, the God of Israel, I now pass on to you. A message concerning Edom. A voice calls to me from the Seir Mountains in Edom. Night watchman, how long till daybreak? How long will the night last? The night watchman calls back, morning's coming, but for now it's still night. If you ask me again, I'll give the same answer. A message concerning Arabia. You'll have to camp out in the desert badlands, you caravans of Dedanites, haul water to the thirsty, greet fugitives with bread, show your desert hospitality, you who live in Tema. The desert swarms with refugees escaping the horrors of war. The master told me, hang on, within 1 year, I'll sign a contract on it. The arrogant brutality of Kedar, those hooligans of the desert, will be over. Nothing much left of the Qatar toughs. The God of Israel says so. Isaiah 22, a country of cowards. A message concerning the Valley of Vision. What's going on here anyway? All this partying and noise making, shouting and cheering in the streets. The city noisy with celebrations. You have no brave soldiers to honor, no combat heroes to be proud of. Your leaders are all cowards, captured without even lifting a sword. A country of cowards, captured, escaping the battle. You look, but you never look to him. In the midst of the shouting, I said, let me alone. Let me grieve by myself. Don't tell me it's going to be all right. These people are doomed. It's not all right. For the master, the God of angel armies, is bringing a day noisy with mobs of people, jostling and stampeding in the Valley of Vision, knocking down walls and hollering to the mountains, attack, attack. Old enemies, Elim and Kir, arriving armed to the teeth, weapons and chariots and cavalry. You find valleys are noisy with wars, chariots and cavalry charging this way and that. God has left you to exposed and defenseless. You assessed your defenses that day, inspected your arsenals of weapons in the forest armory. You found the weak places in the city walls that needed repair. You secured the water supply at the lower pool. You took an inventory of the houses in Jerusalem and tore down some to get bricks to fortify the city wall. You built a large cistern to ensure plenty of water. You looked and looked and looked, but you never looked to him who gave you this city. Never once the one who has long had plans for this city. The master, God of the angel armies, called out on that day, called for a day of repentant tears, called you to dress in somber clothes in mourning. What do? You throw a party, eating and drinking and dancing in the streets. You barbecue bulls and sheep and throw a huge feast. Slabs of meat, kegs of beer. Seize the day, eat and drink. Tomorrow we die. God of the angel armies whispered to me in this verdict on this frivolity. You'll pay for the outrage until the day you die. The master God says so. The key to the Davidic heritage. The master God spoke. Come, go to this steward Shibna, who is in charge of all the king's affairs, and tell him what's going on here. You're an outside here, and yet you act like you own the place. Make a big fancy tomb for yourself where everyone can see it, making sure everyone will think you're important. God is about to sack you, to throw you to the dogs. He'll grab you by the hair, swing you round and round dismally, then let you go, sailing through the air like a ball until you're out of sight. Where you'll land, nobody knows, and there you'll die, and all the stuff you collected heaped on the grave. Your disgrace, your master's house, you're fired, and good riddance. On that day, I'll replace Shibna. I'll call my servant Eliakim of Hilkiah, dress him in your robe. I'll put your belt on him. I'll give him your authority. He'll be a father leader to Jerusalem and the government of Judah. I'll give him the key of the Davidic heritage. He'll have the run of the place. Open any door and keep it open. Lock any door and keep it locked. I'll pound him like a nail into a solid wall. He'll secure the Davidic tradition. Everything will hang on him, not only the fate of Davidic descendants, but also the detailed daily operations of the house, including cups and cutlery. And then the day will come, says the God of the angel armies, when that nail will come loose and fall out. Break loose from that solid wall, and everything hanging on it will go with it. That's what will happen. God says so. Isaiah 23, it was all numbers, dead numbers, profit and loss. Whale ships of Tarshish, you strong seaports all in ruins, and the ships returned from Cyprus. They saw the destruction. Hold your tongue, you who live on the seacoast, merchants of Sidon. Your people sail the deep seas, buying and selling, making money on wheat from Shihar, grown along the Nile, multinational broker in grains. Hang your head in shame, Sidon. The sea speaks up. The powerhouse of the ocean says, I've never had labor pains, never had a baby, never reared children to adulthood, never gave life, never worked with life. It was all numbers, dead numbers, profit and loss. When Egypt gets to report on Tyre, wait, wailing, wait, what ringing, what wailing, what wringing of hands. Nothing left here to be proud of. Visit Tarshish, you who live on the seacoast. Take a good look and wail. Yes, cry buckets of tears. And this is a city you remember as energetic and alive, bustling with activity. This historic old city expanding throughout the globe, buying and selling all over the world. And who is behind the collapse of Tyre? Tyre that controlled the world markets. Tyre's merchants were the business tycoons. Tyre's traders called all the shots. God of the angel armies ordered the crash to show the sordid backside of pride and puncture the inflated reputations. Sail for home, O ships of Tarshish. There's no docks left in this harbor. God reached out to the sea and sea traders. Through the sea kingdoms in the turmoil, God ordered the destruction of the seacoast cities, the centers of commerce. God said there's nothing left here to be proud of. Bankrupt and bereft, Sidon. Do you want to make a new start in Cyprus? Don't count on it. Nothing there will work out for you either. Look at what's happened to Babylon. There's nothing left of it. Assyria turned it into a desert, into a refuge for wild dogs and stray cats. They brought in their big siege engines, tore down the buildings, and left nothing behind but rubble. Whale ships of Tarshish, you strong seaports all in ruins. For the next 70 years, a king's lifetime, Tyre will be forgotten. At the end of the 70 years, Tyre will stage a comeback, but it will be a comeback of a worn-out whore, as in the song. Take a harp, circle the city, unremembered whore. Sing your old songs, your many old songs. Maybe someone will remember. At the end of 70 years, God will look in on Tyre. She'll go back to her old whoring trade, selling herself to the highest bidder, doing anything with anyone, promiscuous with all the kingdoms of the earth for a fee. But everything she gets, all the money she takes in, will be turned over to God. It will not be put in the banks. Her profits will be put to the house of God, aware God-serving people, providing plenty of food and the best of clothing. Isaiah 24, the landscape will be a moonscape. Danger ahead. God's about to ravish the earth and leave it in ruins, rip everything out of by the roots and send everything scurrying. Priests and lay people alike, owners and workers alike, celebrities and nobodies alike, buyers and sellers alike, bankers and beggars alike, the haves and have-nots alike. The landscape will be a moonscape, totally wasted. And why? Because God says so. He's issued the orders. The earth turns gaunt and gray, the world silent and sad, sky and land lifeless and colorless, earth polluted by its very own people. Earth is polluted by its very own people who have broken its laws, disrupted its order, violated the sacred and eternal covenant. Therefore, a curse like a cancer ravages the earth. Its people pay the price of their sacrilege. They dwindle away, dying out one by one. No more wine, no more vineyards, no more songs or singers. The laughter of the castanets is gone. The shout of the celebrants gone. The laughter of fiddles gone. No more parties with toasts of champagne. Serious drinkers gag on their drinks. The chaotic cities are unlivable. Anarchy reigns. Every house is boarded up, condemned. People riot in the streets for wine. Sounds like the inner city. But the good times are gone forever. No more joy for this old world. The city is dead and deserted, bulldozed in the piles of rubble. That's the way it will be on this earth. This is the fate of all nations. An olive tree shaken of its clean of its olives, a grapevine picked clean of its grapes. But there are some who will break into glad song out of the west. They'll shout of God's majesty. Yes, from the east, God's glory will ascend. Every island of the sea will broadcast God's fame. The fame of the God of Israel, from the four winds and seven seas, we hear the singing. All praise to the righteous one. But I said, that's all well, good for somebody. But all I can see is doom, doom, and more doom. All of them at one another's throats. Yes, all of them at one another's throats. Terror and pits and booby traps are everywhere, wherever you are. If you run from the terror, you'll fall into the pit. If you climb out of the pit, you get caught in the trap. Chaos pours out of the skies. The foundations of the earth are crumbling. Earth is smashed to pieces. Earth is ripped to shreds. Earth is wobbling out of control. Earth staggers like a drunk, sways like a shack in a high wind. Its piled up sins are too much for it. It collapses and won't get up again. That's when God will call on the carpet rebel powers in the skies and rebel kings on the earth. He's going to call into the carpet rebel powers in the skies. Wow. They'll be rounded up like prisoners in a jail, corralled and locked up in a jail, and then sentenced and put to hard labor. Shame-faced moon will cower. Humiliated red-faced sun will skulk disgrace, because God of the angel armies will take over, ruling from Mount Zion in Jerusalem, splendid and glorious before all his leaders. This is the word.